Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Liz from Core by Liz. Today I'm talking about PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome. It is an endocrine disorder that about 7% of the population has. PCOS is associated with many reproductive disorders and cardiometabolic disorders such as insulin resistance, hypertension, dyslipidemia, and diabetes. So aside from that, it is also really hard to lose weight when you have PCOS. It's kind of one of those chicken or the egg situations. Women with PCOS tend to become overweight, and overweight people have a higher risk for PCOS, so it's kind of just one of those really tough situations. It has been found that women with PCOS have increased ghrelin levels, which means that they feel an increased feeling of hunger and they are less likely to feel satiated after a meal. So that's been found even after they lose weight. So before and after weight loss, they've been found to have increased levels of ghrelin, which is difficult because even after you lose weight, you're still feeling more hungry, and I mean that goes for a lot of people in general anyways, but as you're eating less calories, you're feeling more hungry. But that is something that women with PCOS specifically struggle with. One of the biggest problems, and this was crazy to me when I first did research about this, which is probably like a little over a year ago when I found this study. They did a study with women in Greece, both with and without PCOS. They studied their BMR, that's the basal metabolic rate. That is how many calories someone burns in a day just living, not doing any sort of physical activity or anything. So the amount of calories you burn in a day just being alive. So the average BMR for the control group, which was the women without PCOS, was 1,868 plus or minus 41 calories. And then the average for all women with PCOS was 1,446 calories plus or minus 76. And then they split that into women with PCOS without insulin resistance and women with PCOS with insulin resistance. So the ones that did have insulin resistance had a BMR of 1,116 plus or minus 106, and the woman without insulin resistance had a BMR of 1,590 plus or minus 130. So I know that's like a lot of numbers there, but basically what that is saying is that women who don't have PCOS burn just living an average of 1,800-ish calories a day, and women with PCOS, depending on whether they have insulin resistance or not, can range from 1,000 calories to 1,600 calories, including like the plus or minuses in there. So that is kind of a hard pill to swallow, and it was hard for me because when I write meal plans for people, I usually start at around like 1,800 calories if people are trying to lose weight, and then we'll adjust it up or down from there. But if someone has PCOS, you actually want to start them closer to like 1,500, and you might have to work your way down closer to 1,000, which is something I would never do in a normal case with someone without PCOS, and it was really hard for me to start doing that for these clients. But that's when they finally started losing weight, was when I adjusted their calories lower. But you just want to be careful and not start too low, kind of, start at a higher number and work your way down and just see what works for them. Or if you have PCOS, I suggest hiring a nutritionist, someone who's certified who can help you with this and not just do it on your own. So there's the BMR problem there, and that is going to be the biggest problem because that means to even maintain weight loss after you've lost weight, that you have to keep consuming like 1,100 calories or whatever for the rest of your life to maintain that weight loss, because that's your BMR. It's not, it's really hard to change that. You might be able to improve it over time, but it is very hard to change your BMR. So there's the BMR. Women with PCOS also have a higher prevalence of abdominal fat. So most women are pear-shaped, where they hold their weight in their hips. but usually it's men that have the apple shape and they hold it in their gut area, but women with PCOS are also inclined to store fat in that area, which is around your organs, and increases your risk for metabolic disorders. So there's that too. Women with PCOS seemed to have higher intakes of saturated fat and decreased intakes of fiber when they studied the diets of women with PCOS. So one thing to take into consideration is trying to increase your fiber intake and decrease your saturated fat intake. They did some studies with women who are overweight, and did exercise versus diet alone. Exercise and diet versus diet alone. And the ones that did both exercise and diet together had decreased fat mass and increased lean body mass. So they lost more body fat compared to just dieting alone. And then they also had improved hormone levels. Another study showed that women who did an exercise program had a decreased BMI and improved insulin resistance compared to those with no exercise. So it definitely is worth adding exercise into your routine if you have PCOS. The problem here is back to the BMR thing. If you're not eating a low-calorie diet, and again, please seek the help of a nutritionist on this one. But if you're just exercising alone, you are going to see improvement on your symptoms and insulin resistance and everything like that, but you might not see the weight loss. And that's basically the whole problem with this. Is it's very hard to lose weight. You're going to be very strict on your diet for a long time. You're going to have to get used to just eating less because your body doesn't need as many calories as a normal person, and that's just really hard with society, how we revolve around food, going out to eat. You just have to eat less than most people do, and that's really hard. I feel a lot of empathy for my clients that deal with this because they just have to eat less, and we're, facing food all the time in our lives. So it's kind of one of those things that, like, if you really want to lose weight and maintain the weight loss, then you have to accept that you're going to have to consume less calories. Obviously, you can combine your diet and cardio to kind of let yourself have a little bit more calories, but it's a really tough situation to deal with. And it's not fair. Like I said, the average person, the average woman, it's 1,868 calories is the average BMR, and then some people are over here with like 1,000 calories, and that's just how it is. And hopefully they find some way of changing that in the future, but right now that is not the case. So what I recommend is seeing a nutritionist, having them help you make a meal plan and monitor your progress. See a trainer who actually knows about PCOS and make sure that they make a program that's appropriate for you. A lot of trainers don't know about this, so really do your research on that. It's unfortunate, and it's not their fault either, but they need to admit that they don't know what's going on with the PCOS. I didn't know until I did the research myself. I have a degree in dietetics, and they didn't teach this in school. It was something that I had to look into when I started getting clients that had PCOS. I was like, I don't know what they need specifically, so I started looking into it, and that's why I'm making this video. Is it's just a difficult topic, and not that many people understand it, and it's still being studied. Hey, my camera died yesterday, so I'm back. Just finishing things off. I know I was about to talk about research and why it's just so difficult. I think people, I hear a lot like, why don't they just do research on this? Like, why don't they study diets and PCOS? Why don't they study more weight loss solutions? And it's not that easy. I mean, as the years go by, they are going to do more research on all these things, but the way research works is that you need people to participate in the studies, and with weight loss, that's like the hardest thing to get people to participate in. Like, people don't want to do research studies where they have to sign up and follow a diet for over a year or exercise program for over a year, people drop out of studies like flies. You know, they just don't want to stick with it. And people, it's voluntary. You can't just like pick people off the road and say like you're gonna do this study or like whatever. You know, you have to be willing to do it. So that's just a problem with weight loss research in general. A lot of the studies out there are either short-term or you know, they'll follow people over a long period of time, but it's harder to see whether they're really following it. You can't just have people in the lab following a diet for, like I said, like over a year, which like that's when you want to see whether something's sustainable. People can follow a diet for a month, 2 months, maybe 6 months, but then when they lose weight, then they're going to start eating normal again, and that's just a huge part of weight loss research that's tough and what people don't understand and accept. Like, I think people do know this in their head, but like that's the reason diets don't work, and why like they always say like lifestyle change is the solution, because you have to stick with something that you can do long term, not just for 6 months, not just for a couple weeks. Because if you just do a diet that's going to only last a couple weeks or months, what's going to happen when you start eating normal again? You're just going to gain the weight back. And especially relating back to PCOS, if your BMR is that low, then you are going to have to eat lower calories for maybe forever if you're going to have those issues forever. Your BMR is not going to magically jump up to like 1800, and it's really crappy. But that's just the reality of weight loss, and it's something that you have to decide. Is it worth eating like that little amount of calories to you? Like, you don't need, your body doesn't need as many calories as other people, so it's kind of a decision, like, should I eat more than I need to conform to like society and going out to eat and stuff? And obviously like enjoy experiences, but maybe most of the time stick to lower calories because you know you don't need more than that. But again, you also have issues with ghrelin and everything, so you feel like you're hungry, but you're really not. You don't need the extra food. So it's just very complicated. I'm sorry, I kind of ranted on that there. It's just, weight loss is my specialty. I went to school for obesity prevention and management, and it's just like one of those things that's really frustrating. You know, and then there's like bariatric surgery that is an option, and unfortunately, and this is part of because of that issue with research that I was just talking about, with bariatric surgery, you can see the long-term results, and that's been shown in research to be the most successful way to maintain long-term weight loss. But again, that's partially because they can't study diets that long-term. No one really sticks to them, so it's one of those things where I don't feel comfortable, like in my heart, recommending bariatric surgery unless it's like, you know, a last resort type of thing. If you can manage it with weight loss and exercise, please do. But you know, sometimes I do understand why people have to do bariatric surgery. It's just a rough thing to like accept that. This is supposed to be like a more informational video, but it's just something that's really hard. It's discouraging, you know, as someone who really genuinely wants to help people lose weight. There's just certain situations that it's not going to be as easy for some people as others, and yeah, you just have to make that decision, like, do I want to lose weight and keep it off? Am I willing to eat less calories and exercise for that? Or would I be happier eating more and not losing weight? And that's just like really what it comes down to, I guess. Like, I could just keep talking about it, but that's what it's going to come down to. And having a better diet and exercise is going to improve your symptoms. That's been shown in the research. But as far as the weight loss goes, yeah, it's tough. So that pretty much covers everything I wanted to go over as far as the research goes. If you have any questions for me, leave them in the comments, or you can email me, liz@corebyliz.com. If you have questions about the research topic or about meal plans or workout plans or anything like that, that is my email address, and then I'll put my website in the description box below as well. I'd be happy to discuss any of these things with you if you have further questions. If you have any other topics that you'd recommend for me to talk about next time, I did hypothyroidism last time, so I'm looking for more topics to talk about. So just let me know what you want to learn about, and I'll do the research for you, and then I'll talk about it. So I'll see you guys next time. Make sure you hit like and subscribe to my channel if you want to keep seeing these videos, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.